Hello and welcome to another video. So I decided that I wanted to rematch against the MasterMind. I had a bunch of grueling defeats and I was tilted and I was just like, I'm gonna take this fucker down. So I want to show you the game. I don't know whether or not I should be proud of it, but let's start. He starts with the white pieces. Excuse me. Starts with knight to f3. I decided that I was going to put one pawn in the center. If I can't do one, I do the other. So he's immediately going for kind of like a King's Indian setup, but I don't think it's called the King's Indian setup when it's white, but I'm not sure. So I put two pawns in the center, because if I can't, if I can't try to control the center. If I can't do this pawn, I usually will do this one. So it's similar to like a Queen's Gambit setup. He shoots in the middle immediately. So I saw this, and I didn't want to take, because that just helps him long term. I was a bit I was super annoyed in the game because there was going to be like long term pressure on this pawn. But I just continued like it was a Queen's Gambit, If takes, and I'll just shoot a pawn in the middle and I'll control the center. And even though, he's got a pawn here, I control the center, or at least that was the logic that I had. Also, it reinforces this, so I take, and then take, but I didn't really want that. So he defends, he gets his bishop ready, but it also weakens this. There's a lot of like light squares. I don't know if that was like, I don't know how to play chess, so I shouldn't critique this guy's work. He's a lot stronger than me. So I bring a knight out. Why did I do this? Because I was concerned that, I don't know, at a certain point, I was just gonna like not have enough. I don't know. I was thinking that I could move the bishop out, but I didn't think it was like such a good move because this was coming anyway, and what was it doing? Well, it was whatever. Anyway, this is the position. So he brings another knight out, and even though I said I didn't want to do it, I didn't see what else I could do. And I wanted to close the door, defend this pawn. This would be protected by this. I didn't think that this was a good move. I thought he was going to do this. But I guess he really wanted to move the knight, and he was okay with the trade of the bishops. I closed the door on my bishop. So, even if we trade, most of my pawns are on light squares. So, if I take his knight, it's not the worst thing in the world. And if it moves, I suppose that we could trade, but it's not so much a good. Well, if I take away his light, anyway, he castled. So I decided to move my bishop to attack here. I didn't want to trade it. I was nervous about this, so the idea was I was going to do this, and if he did this, then I would do that. So he can't get the bishop, and the bishop can stay here, and the queen needs to migrate over to here to mate him on g2. So brings the knight to the center. I knew that this would come eventually. I didn't want to take, because I just felt like it helped him. So I brought out a rook instead, and would maintain long-term pressure on this pawn. So if I took, and if it like moved or something, I would still, where's my mouse? Still have pressure on this pawn. So he takes, I take back with the pawn. I wanted to keep his pieces out of my territory. I didn't want to like pin myself to the king and lose the piece. So he puts pressure on this immediately. I looked at it and I said, well, if he takes, I don't have to take back. And if he takes, well, I can snap take and that will close that down. And I didn't want to move the bishop here because then he's going to take. So I decided to eventually close this up. So even if he takes, I can take, and then it sort of like closes down the position. And it's not so bad for me, I thought. I knew that this would come at a certain point, but I felt like this was more irritating, and it also blocks in his bishop, so it doesn't do anything. So he develops his bishop. His rook is defended now. I develop my bishop, And so he goes to attack this pawn. And so I completely ignore it. And I'm partially going for this bishop, but I'm partially going for this pawn. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing just yet, and well, that doesn't work, does it? I mean, I could have, should have, maybe. And I could take the bishop. I don't know. It's not a good bishop. Look at all his pawns; they're all in dark squares. So this knight is better than this bishop. I was expecting this at some point, and I had a plan for that. So I ignore it. I bring the queen out. Now I'm putting more pressure on here. I've been watching a lot of pro gamers like Eric Rosen and like Anna Cramling and others. And one lesson that I've been learning from them is don't be too fixated on the material you know, especially the pawns. I'm sorry, B pawn, who is now C pawn. I have two C pawns, that's funny. So he's Charlie, and that's Charlotte, I guess. Anyway, so takes, queen moves. I just completely ignore it. If he wants to take again, he can take again. That's fine. I'm attacking this. So he attacks this, right? And so I looked at this, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to sack. So if he takes, then I get here, and I made him here. So he takes the bishop first, which I expected. So then I go to attack the pawn. I sack this knight as well, because I'm going for mate, dude. I'm going for mate. So I expected him to do this as well. So, gave him some chances here, but I'm trying to get my rook into the game now. And if he takes, I can take, and I still have enough pressure here. Sorry, knight, but, you know, what else was I going to do? Take here, then do this? I didn't have time, and besides, I didn't want this pawn to move. I wanted it to get locked up. So he took. I took here. I ignored everything that was happening over here. So he took again. And I took for the simple reason that I almost fucking threw the game here. Almost threw the game. If he takes here, then I could get here. And he doesn't have this because, well, yeah. And then I could get, it was just triangulation. I was just trying to get there. And at a certain point, you know, could do that. So he attacks my rook. Damn. Wasn't even the best move. I was trying to keep him busy. Forget the rook. You know, if I get here, then I can get here, and then I can get here. That was the idea. So he takes. I'm just sacking all of my pieces here. So, almost threw the game here. I think that was probably the best move. But he takes the rook. Don't know why the fuck he didn't take the rook. He should have just done that. But I guess my idea was I was going to take, and well, the queen was going to take, and it's just like, then the rook could get in here and try to, had to have been something there. So I check him, he moves back. So now I'm trying to mate him here. He brings the queen out. So do you see this evaluation bar? You know, the idea is I'm going to go here, he's cut off, he can't move. I didn't see this. If I had taken, he went here, so I decided to go here to defend the pawn. I didn't see this either. I moved here, so even if he takes here, I don't have to be concerned. I have enough time to mate him. So check. I forgot that this pawn wouldn't be protected for some reason. And then I was able to get in here and mate him. So, just threw the entire fucking house at this dude. Let's look at the game review. I did do a video where I was like recording this and, you know, going through my thought processes and decision making, but unfortunately I forgot to put in headphones so nobody hears what I'm doing. So I had to restart. So even though I played like complete dog water, I still was able to beat this guy. probably should have lost. So, knight to f3, d5, g3, c5. d4 is good, but it wasn't the best move. That was an inaccuracy I should have taken. Well, I didn't. So, he defends the pawn. I bring out the knight. He brings out his knight. I pin it. He unpins himself, probably the wrong way. I close the door on the bishop. So, yeah. So I moved it because I knew he wanted to boot it at a certain point. So, moves the rook. Yeah, that doesn't help them to stop the knight from getting into a counterattack of the bishop, though. So, didn't trade. I did consider moving the bishop, but I expected that he was going to take here at a certain point, and I didn't want to move the bishop twice. He takes, I take back. Best move. Get the bishop out. This is a mistake. But is it a mistake? Brilliant move. If here, then I mate here. So he has to take the bishop first. So, sorry knight, going for this. That was the entire idea. I calculated all of this in advance. So, I expected this. And so I'm just gonna keep... I did look at this too, but I couldn't... Well, I mean, I guess that's the follow-up. Yeah, that would have been strong too, huh? Might have been even, like, more direct. I think I was... This. What? Yeah. What was I thinking? I could have just done this. He could do this, but I still have this. And it's just like, you have no defense. But my move was way too slow. Yeah, my move was too slow. Yeah, my move was way too slow, dude. I just... Could have taken with the queen. Probably should have taken with the queen. What? And... So... Now, I beat the MasterMind. It wasn't the cleanest win, but 2 brilliant moves, 4 great moves. You know, it couldn't have been a bad game. So, play the bots. Now to go look at my 3-star rating. There we go. So I have beat everybody in the heist crew. And so that's it for this video. I would, I don't know, like feedback from someone who is good at chess, I guess. I mean, I dream if, like, Gotham Chess, like, covered this game, or at least looked at it, you know, would he be impressed? Who knows? Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. Later.